And what happens in King Kong is this giant gorilla climbs the Empire State Building and fights with some airplanes. I thought we'd try to simulate that in the room right now. So go ahead and get your paper airplanes out. They'll be under your seats or nearby. And I have my gorilla gloves right here. I have an extra pair if someone in the audience would care to join me. I'll give you 60 seconds. 60 seconds. And then we're going to do a little simulation here. So we're here talking about augmented reality and how it can bridge the real world and Hollywood. We love Hollywood. That's where we are right now, sort of. Oh, these are both left-handed. Oh, I think I'm doing it wrong. I didn't know it was possible to wear gorilla gloves wrong. I sense some more time is needed. Okay, so imagine that I'm sitting at a desk and I'm playing a video game. It looks like this. No matter how cool the video game is, it isn't nearly as cool as this. Paper airplanes, let's fly! Ah! You're all terrible throwers. See, goofing around in the real world is just more fun. No matter how compelling the video game is, a similar experience, or even a terrible experience, in augmented reality typically is more engaging. In AR, whether you're in a mall or in an airport, your whole blood chemistry is up, your heart is pumping, it elevates your mood. That's talking about augmented reality. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. So today's panel is not a bunch of talking heads. Today's panel, we want to hear and solve your problems. If you're going to ask, what is AR? We'll answer your question. If you're going to say, I'm an AR expert, but I'm not sure how to connect this to the Transformers, we'll try to answer that question too. So let's meet our panel. Would you care to begin?
Hi, I'm Lynn Rosenthal. Would you like me to say anything more?
Please.
Okay, I work, I'm a...
What is Periscape?
Periscape is a company that's a platform and also a studio that's about to have a very exciting announcement.
Ah, okay. And Natasha of Ventana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natasha French. I'm the CMO of Ventana. We're an augmented reality company that specializes in interactive holograms. So we focus on the group experience, where you don't have to put a headset on, have any wearables, where you can stand in front of our displays, see yourself in real time, and using gestures can interact with these holograms. And the whole idea behind that is allowing consumers to be in the experience. Afterwards, you get a takeaway where you can then share that, and then the brand gets the data. So we use facial recognition and can track sentiment, gender, age range to really allow the brand to understand their customer better.
And Ryan of Deloitte.
Hey guys, Ryan Faber. I'm a consultant at Deloitte Digital. I'm really focusing on leveraging augmented, virtual, and mixed reality and how companies can use those in their businesses.
All right, well, let's start with some questions. I know that, Lynn, you have an announcement to make about bringing augmented reality to airports. That's what all of us need. As we're walking through an airport, we need to have something to distract us.
Well,
what's it going to be?
I'm usually, do I look distracted? Because I was on 2 flights yesterday,
Oh,
so
I
I'm
see.
still a little out of it. I spent about 3 weeks of my life traveling, and I notice, as I look around, everybody's stressed out, they're anxious, and there's nothing to do. So with 3-hour layovers, you go get a drink, 2, 3, you can shop or maybe get a public massage, which is a little awkward for me. So I actually developed my own escape route. So with all of you as big VR and AR enthusiasts, we want to we need to figure out more ways to monetize the work we're doing, right? So we created a platform that we think can help monetize both VR and AR. We all love creating these amazing experiences where we can, you know, swim underwater with the blue whale, we can float in the universe, we can fly over Hogwarts, we can float in the galaxy, swim with sharks, whatever it is, it makes us joyful and blissful, unless you're into zombie killing. So. I want to do things like, you know, walk through Jurassic Park when I'm in the airport. I want to bring those experiences inside to a place where people have no entertainment. So there are a lot of really great avenues to bring your work to customers, but we've created something very different. We've created a luxury platform that will make your magical experiences even more magical. It was designed by Gensler, which is the #1 architectural firm in the world. They design most tech spaces. You know, if it's shiny, it's probably Gensler. We're working with HP because they have the best solution for VR arcades. I don't like the name arcade, but we're opening a VR experience center. It makes the experience much easier, and I think it's gonna be the only solution to take VR out to the masses. You don't have to set up the little, you know, like the Vive stations. Every time we're all at film festival, everything's not working, and it's because of all the tracking that's going on. And HP, Joanna's here, is helping lead that charge, and it's a magical experience that they've done. So this place where I want to take your experiences and your magic is about to launch, and it's going to launch very soon. It's going to launch. I told you where my crazy anxiety comes from. So it's going to launch in the middle of an airport. We're launching in JFK Terminal 4 on June 1st. And the reason we chose that was
Applause, please. Yay!
So
It'll go flawlessly, I'm sure.
It's a big, sexy, beautiful, high-end retail experience center. It's right in the middle of everything. The reason we chose it was because 1 out of every 15 people that enters the U.S. comes through JFK Terminal 4. They have a 3 to 4 hour dwell time. That's the average dwell time. They have an average income of $103,000. So they have disposable money. And the demographics 24 to 35. So we're launching there, and then we plan to roll out globally. And since I want to give one more shout out to Joanna, HP is the best. We love you. And I also have Philip here, who is one of my advisors.
Well, let's round out the announcements before we go on to questions. Natasha, Ryan, do you have anything you want to announce? I didn't get an email from you saying yes, so I'm guessing.
I sent a video.
Do you want to discuss the holodeck? Do you want to send me to the YouTube link for your?
Yeah, or I can show you this on my phone. So at Ventana, we're all about and kind of talking, how does it tie in? What are the applications of AR? And I think there's so much content out there, and you might have seen, you know, very gimmicky holograms that appear here and there, but always everyone asks, you know, we've been around 6 years, and what we've been able to do is monetize on that and actually allow brands to see ROI. So best example I like to give is, you know, Lexus is one of our clients. We've been in 12 stadiums with them. They first came to us because they can't fit full cars inside sports stadiums. So they're spending X amount of dollars being a partner of these teams. However, they're not getting access to the ticket holders. You know, StubHub's probably not sharing that information with those partners. So instead, they're given, you know, a designated space in those arenas. And for that space, they have X amount of time. You have a captive audience that's excited to be there for the game. And now they want to engage with them. So for a couple years, they had Sony PlayStation. They were probably getting 1 or 2 kids using it. So what we were able to do was create gamified experiences where you can, in full hologram 4, build your dream Lexus. Pick the colors, change it, turn it around. You also can shoot hologram basketball. They've doubled their qualified leads and have engaged in 12 stadiums now with us. We're actually now even going to retail. So what we've really allowed to do is take these experiences, going with the consumer on that journey, starting in that, when the curiosity phase, when you first reach a consumer, and then now you can even engage with them in that engagement phase and really show them a product that they can go home and share. So most recently, which we launched about a month ago, is yes, it's fun to have a big one, but everyone wants a takeaway. So our latest hologram is one that you can literally put in your pocket, and it's a takeaway. So after you record yourself and do the experience, you're able to walk away. It's going to be a little hard to see from the back, but where you can now see yourself on your phone, but you can also see your dream Lexus that you just built.
It looks really cool from up here.
Yeah, it does.
Would you be comfortable passing it around?
Yeah, just don't answer my
Nobody
phone
steal
calls
the
or
phone,
how about maybe at the end I can you can come up. I'll walk around at the end, or you can come up unless you want to answer
great.
my emails.
As for me, I'm Johnny Montserrat.
Sure.
I run a company called Montserrat, and we make walking games using augmented reality. So it's like Pokemon Go, except that the way that we do it, we bring players together as opposed to not allowing them to interact at all. Where, if any of you know the phrase MMO, it's like a community-type game. So we're creating a community-type game. And I allowed all the panelists one slide. I didn't get any slides from you guys, but this is my one slide. So we're making one of these games. I can't say which one, but it's very exciting, and we hope to have it out RSN. That stands for Real Soon Now. Well, let's do some questions, and then we'll open it up to the audience. If you've got a burning AR question, or if your company's thinking about AR and you've got a question that's related to like a case study, we'll bring you up and we'll do the case study. So think about that while we're talking, okay? The person who's like the most enthusiastic will get called up. So get your hands lubricated.
Get your hands.
So let's start with, well, just ready to wave. Ready to be like, oh, Mr. Carter, call on me. That's a 1970s TV reference. So Lynn, let's start with you, although this is open to all the panelists, including me. So what are the challenges of putting AR, or if we must, VR, into an airport?
There are no challenges making.
What are the best practices?
I think we're going to put in a hologram. We're also doing other LBE locations, so we're acquiring big IP to take globally, and that will live in certain location-based areas. So it may be at Shanghai Tower, and where thousands of people can walk through the same experience. And if they don't have those glasses, they'll be able to rent them. And
How do you do it right? How do you do it wrong?
well, it's
Imagine that someone in the audience wants to compete with you. How would you advise them?
I would say, yeah, if you can get great IP, you should come to one of us, and we'll help you buy it.
Can you say what it is? Is it the Flintstones?
We have a number of big pieces.
You're working on it,
but
I understand.
it was not on your list. So
Well,
we're
to me,
good.
I would think that one of the issues would be if I rent AR glasses, but then my flight is called,
Okay.
I'm just going to run away and not return them. That's an example of
Well,
an issue.
Yes, so we take, the customers come up and swipe their credit card. We have developed software, we're using vArsenal. And vArsenal has made it possible so that we don't need an attendant anywhere. So if our work goes out to museums or universities or wherever, it doesn't really need anybody to run it. You can just say, this is VR, and put on the headset, and in the headset, it will tell you how to begin the experience. We also have, you can also swipe your airline ticket. We're connected to the airport. So you'll get an headset message. It says, hey, 30 minutes and your flight's going to leave. Choose to stay here and fly in the center or, move along.
What kind of experience are we getting here? Let's just assume it's the Flintstones, which I know it's not. So I'm walking around the airport and I see Fred Flintstone or Wilma somewhere, or dinosaur runs past with the bone.
Could be a musician, maybe. So, what you could dance with Beyonce, someone like that.
But I'm seeing this through the AR headset.
Not necessarily.
Oh. I'm not trying to.
Some of them.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to ask questions so you can brag about what you're doing.
In the big stuff we're doing, that's $100 million. Some crazy number that we're doing in locations like the United Arab Emirates and
really?
Dubai and Shanghai. Those are 5 stories high. Those can live. They belong to those buildings. Those are $100 million experiences, and you do need goggles to walk around to see what you're going to see.
Well, Ryan, you're an expert. I'll put you on the spot.
Sure.
So what does your expertise tell you about the challenges of location-based entertainment? That's LBE, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting. I think you have a couple different things to focus on. So if you're using if you're using mobile-based devices, right, which is what I'm thinking about there. Being able to, I think part of that experience would be really cool is if everyone is able to view the same thing in VR, right, and interact with it in the same way. And I know Google just recently released with AR Core the ability to do that, but it only keeps it for a few days. So being able to have some sort of just interaction that you're not just interacting with by yourself, but you can see other people interacting with it as well. I mean, I think that would be something that would be really cool, and it's just a matter of how that technology moves forward from where we are with Google AR Core at this point to where we can be if we can just store that data, not permanently, but longer than just the course of a week.
That is a really tough tech challenge. To get 2 different people to see the same object in exactly the same place means that the AR glasses or your phone have to know what stuff is. If I'm going to stick an elf on this table, I need to know this is a table. This is specifically this table. It's not this table or some other table. And to get 2 players or 2 experienced users to simultaneously see that, I don't know if it's even possible right now, but they're working on it, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's one of those things too, if you start thinking about like lighting and shading and how it's going to look from different angles and the latency between the things, like if I'm interacting with it, you want to see me doing it in real time. And I think that's something that 5G is going to be addressing in the years to come, but like you said, we're still working to make that a reality. But I think it's a good place to look out about like 5 to 7 years or so.
One issue that I can think of is, go ahead if you'd like.
Well, we've certainly, we're working with a headset company that certainly you can experience the same thing as several hundred people.
Oh, very cool.
Or 1,000, more than just 2. So
Very cool.
yeah, in
Wow.
stores near you.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to check this out. I'm going to JFK.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Question.
We've been able to see simultaneous AR for a long time. I don't know what you're talking about. I can take an app, and we can all be here with using our phones, seeing an AR object from our own perspective. So what do you say?
So the question is, we've had simultaneous AR for some time now. What's the issue? I'll take a first crack at
Yeah,
that.
if you wanna take the first
The
crack.
issue is that if I'm playing Pokemon Go and I see a little creature and my friend is right next to me, my friend is seeing the creature in a slightly different place thanks to the inaccuracy of GPS. And theoretically, the phones should be able to recognize the same patch of grass or the same stain on the wall and synchronize. And that not quite working yet as far as I know, except maybe with the high-end goggles.
Simulations, neurosurgical simulations in AR, using very similar technology that you showed, because that really is not a hologram. That's Pepper's ghost in a funnel. But using that technology, you can actually operate on a head and have somebody over there seeing what you're doing.
Bob, have we got a wireless mic for the audience?
Yeah, so that was just a takeaway. And so what we've done is we've taken the idea of, for example, if you want to get the light fields in the little red cube, and then that's millions of dollars. And it will be done, and it can be done with very limited light source. What we've done is, and we're talking about here, is how is it applicable, and how can we use augmented reality in our life today, and how can brands use it and consumers experience it. So yes, there's a lot of terminologies with the AR, the MR, the VR, now XR, holographic projection. So yes, we've taken Pepper's Ghost and we've created, this is again just a takeaway that we've created for where we go life size, or we could telepresence people in, so you can be in New York, our hologram can appear. That projection can appear here in Los Angeles, where you can interact with less than a second delay. So I think it's like kind of going back and diving into like what are the applications with the current technologies that we have today, and like kind of going back to your original question of the challenges we face. And I think for us, it's been exciting. Like the company's been around 6 years. I've been with the company 3. And for us, it's exciting where for a while we've been educating the marketplace, and now being able to have these applications. And now that we have a more educated marketplace, and we've also come down to a price point where it's affordable and people can now use this and engage with it, and you also have a more educated audience. You know, when you said AR, I was actually at a panel yesterday, and a panelist said AR, and someone in the audience was like, what is that, right? That's rare, but these days people know what AR is, right? And so by educating us now, and also consumers want to be a part of it. They want to touch it and feel it. And I think with the challenges from a year ago are very different, where this time around, I think the challenges we face is one, you know, finding, like I always like to say, is people, when they come to us, I always ask, why do you want to add augmented reality to your experience? I think it's so important to understand the goal before you use one of these experiences, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a brand, because at the end of the day, if you're creating something to attract consumers into your store, you want to make sure that content's right. So what's been great and kind of the challenge is changing that conversation. What is the goal of using this technology? And let's work together to create that experience. Now there's more content that we could use. Like we can use existing 3D models. We can use content that's out there. Like I'm excited to see with all the VR created, how can we take that? And we're opening up our platform where now consumers can upload content. So I think those challenges are becoming less as you adapt that technology and you open up those platforms and you give people access to it, which is now becoming less of a challenge because there may be more.
This is a good segue into a question I have for you, Natasha, but first, would anyone care to define what Pepper's Ghost is?
It's a 350-year-old technology.
Someone who has a microphone. I'm sorry, sir.
Sorry.
I'll do it. So, if you guys have been to Disney World or Disneyland, they have the Haunted Mansion, and they have those ghosts flying on the ceiling. It's actually like a partially silvered mirror. So it reflects light, but you can also kind of see through it. So you're seeing two images, the image that's being reflected and the image that you're seeing through it. And that's called Pepper's Ghost. It needs certain lighting conditions. I don't quite understand it. I'm sure that you do. Come on up if you want to. But basically, it enables you to have something that's hidden that then is shown via the mirror. And they used to use it in the 19th century to freak people out.
No, and I get the thing. It's using, the thing, I'm sure you've all seen celebrities that have appeared, and then you haven't seen it again. That costs millions of dollars. And we've taken a technology and an idea, and we've made it applicable, and we've made it engaging for that consumer, and we've integrated, we have an AI hologram now that you can take any chatbot and add a visualization to it. So imagine Alexa is not just cylinder, it's a face, and it is emotionally responding to you with facial recognition. So if you're having a bad day, you're hollering, what can I help you with, or play happy music. And it's really adding that emotional response and connection with the consumer. So again, it's kind of taking these ideas, and as technology gets better, providing these platforms that we're display agnostic, so we can push our software onto any display, which is exciting for us because you're just creating more content and more touch points for consumers to use.
Let's bring this out of the home because we're a panel on real world use cases. I know that you work in sports stadiums and malls. What are the challenges or best practices there bringing AR experiences?
Yeah, so with the sports stadiums, sometimes it comes down to space, but one thing we've done...
Oh, and also, do you have just a 30-second as to what is it? Or is it the hologram that you passed out?
No, that's just a takeaway. So for example, for Nike, they came to us because they had to launch, if you know high school football in Texas. Nike sponsors all the high school teams in Frisco. So they actually play out of the Dallas Star where the Cowboys play. So they launched all of the new uniforms, and we were able to build the technology into their locker room. So all these high school kids walked in and got to see their uniform for the first time. That was the video I sent, that comes out of the ground. And no joke, the 50 kids were all on Snapchat, which is kind of funny because none of them were experiencing it in person. They were experiencing it through their Snap, but it really engaged them. You know, Nike won an award for that. So it was a new way to engage with those students and get them excited. And that whole reason they used that was for publicity. You know, they got an award for it. They got a ton of publicity on it. And so first challenges for sports stadiums, but the reason our technology works is, you know, at Staples Center, there's 3 teams. Each team partner has 33 minutes to come in and out of Staples Center if you're bringing in a technology. That's a very short period of time. So we're able to bring in one of our small units, roll it down literally, bring it in, it plugs in, we have a hotspot on our units, and then be able to take it out in that short amount of time. But also the big thing is the use case of being able to bring physical objects into the stadiums for these partners. So the big thing it's interesting, the teams aren't the ones using the technology, it's the partners who are bringing us in to engage the fans that they are paying as a partner to be with and engage.
What's an example of a product that would not work in a sports stadium or mall? Anybody?
That won't work. Well, I guess dinosaurs at airports.
Right. Shooters.
Oh, a shooter game. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
That would not work.
I suppose at
Probably
each
not
of
a
your
good
locations.
idea.
I suppose at each of your location-based entertainment places, you have to carefully map out where people can and cannot go. Will the AR experience alert them, like, you're crossing into the baggage area, don't go, or
Well,
how does that work?
At airports, we actually slide their suitcase and all their handbags and stuff into the actual tower, so it's locked and safe because they're fully immersed in a VR headset.
So they have to come back and return the headset, or they're not getting their baggage back.
Well, the headset's tethered.
I
so
see.
they're not
Excuse
running
me.
off
I
with
see.
that.
Excuse me. But Natasha, for your application, they can walk around, right?
So you can see it about 180-degree viewing angle, our displays. A couple displays, you can walk around it. So for those places we build, you know, we have a permanent installation at the Pro Football Hall of Fame where former coaches are giving you a pep talk. They've literally built like a whole locker room experience. So they've immersed you. We've had our clients like Disney who have literally built a pirate ship, and we've built the unit into the pirate ship. So it looks, they really don't even see the frame. You still require hardware in the experience, but this way it's more realistic. And I think the bigger thing too is adding, especially in these open spaces, is adding real objects there, so mixing that reality. So you have the hologram, but you might have, you know, a barrel next to it, or in a mall, it could be a physical object. We have a client who can put products next to it, so you have, you know, the content moving around it. So I think creating that visualization where something's there, that's really there, and then having the holographic content around it really kind of works well, especially into these spaces like malls. You know, we're in 10 Chuck E. Cheeses, so I always say, like, we survived Chuck E. Cheese. It's child-proof and adult-proof. And it was funny, their biggest concern was pizza grease that kids would attack. And, like, I would never have thought, like, pizza grease, but, you know, we put a plexi around it. And it's, like, kind of finding out, also, people love to unplug things at Chuck E. Cheese. But at Chuck E. Cheese, like, our technology, I don't know why, but with our technology, we're able to manage remotely manage it. So our techs, before the team got into Chuck E. Cheese, were able to say, okay, unit 7's off, unit 10's off, and we're able to, you know, fix that problem. So it's kind of working with these venues and really understanding we like to say, how do we make your life the easiest? Like, we don't want hologram to be our technology to be your issue. We want the experience to be great and to be the simplest partner to work with. So I think we've made it very plug and play to enable that.
For my walking games, one moment, we, of course, have to deal with real-world spaces. I can't be sending people down dark alleys. That's a problem. But fortunately, Google Maps is marked with safe local cultural areas that we, you know, intend to use, and we advise players to use their common sense when it comes to not walking out into the ocean or whatever the app says to do. in terms of properties that work, since we're talking about bringing Hollywood and media to spaces, and we actually tried to go to Fox to talk about 24, the TV show. It's all about terrorism, counterterrorism, Jack Bauer. But we figured out that to play the game, you have to have terrorists and bombs, and nobody really wants to walk past a Starbucks and defuse a bomb. And you really can't get sponsors that way either. So that's an example that doesn't work too well. But an example that does work well is a spy game. You know why? Because you can have a little AR creature, you pretend that's a spy, you just follow the creature around the block. Or you get followed by that creature and try to lose it. Pretty much anyone can role play being a spy. Whereas a property like Marvel, not everybody wants to pretend to be a superhero of a certain type. But a spy is like a mainstream thing that just about anybody can access. Any final comments? People will just open it up to questions. Thank you so much for your energy.
So just one thing around stadiums as a whole as well. I think what I like to think about is with like the stadium of the future as well, the experience is going to go outside the stadium as well. So not making sure that your user base is engaged once they enter the stadium, but when they get to the parking lot, how are they engaging with the team, with what's going on the field beforehand? If there's shopping around, are there going to be location-based ads? Are they going to be, as you spend more and more time there, are they going to know what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to know is going on, things like that. So I think it really expands outside of just the stadium and goes into more of a holistic experience to get people there outside of games and concerts and events as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, because a lot of, we like to say we offer that 360-degree solution where it can start before you get into the stadium. And in addition, we can sync with client CRM systems, which is something we're doing right now. Is if, for example, you're a car owner for a particular brand we're working with either facial recognition or also by us entering in an email to the experience, they can link with their existing database, and now you get a special experience because you already own that brand's car. And so now it becomes personalized, and it becomes really, for them, like, wait, it's like becomes a game for them that's a part of their personal existence. So that's been, then after you can either take that home or you can then share things and talk about it after. So I think that's really important, because you're not just engaging, like that journey starts with the engagement, but then you want to make sure that you're continuing to bring them back. And the biggest thing is, it's not like remember, I always like to say the days of the clipboard and free t-shirts are gone. Like, no one wants to be bothered. I don't know if I think I saw someone in Vegas last week at a Southwest terminal get stopped by that. I was like, this is amazing that they signed up for the credit card. But like, not many people want to be bothered. They just kind of want to get from A to Z. But if they see something engaging that's AR, and they're like, wait, I'm going to stop and do this, and before they know it, it's brought to them by that same brand that can then follow up after. I think that's where I see a lot of those fan experiences going.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We advised a stadium. One of the first initial talks was about where's the new security line. Where's that? Is it a block away from the stadium? Is it further? Then we talked, my interest was, how can I pre-order popcorn and a hot dog? But we wanted to set it up so that you could book your parking spot in advance. You could, through AR, you could find out how you get to your seat.
AR is good for that. AR is good for telling you where to go.
Right. Your drinks would be delivered on time. You could plan your afternoon in advance.
Wow. We've been very patient. Question, please.
Well, thank you for the segment, because that was one of sort of my questions about location and directions and many aspects that, a lot of those projecting onto your dashboard. There's a bunch of companies coming out with that. Now, Natasha, I know your company. Do you guys only do you ever license your IP, or are you only taking clients and it's your whole?
So the question is, do you license your technology, or do you just build projects
No,
only?
that's a great question. So we actually, just this past year, just as we've noticed, we started, and the reason events are great is because they help bring in revenue, right? Events are also exhausting because the Super Bowl date is not going to change. You have that limit. And so what we started doing, our big goal was us longer term installations. And so we do have a software licensing platform that currently and have multiple clients on it, which we're really excited about. So especially for the AI hologram, is we are working with, we have a cruise line, we launched one in a casino this morning, and we just created a hologram bank teller with a well-known financial institution that we're doing prototyping with, and they're licensing our software, but we're integrating it with their chatbot. So taking that existing content, and then they're licensing access to our platform so they can update that. They have the tech support, and then it becomes also more cost effective in that sense. And then we have long-term leases on the hardware. But in addition, we have some clients that are using the hardware. We also can project it on other displays as well. That's all run off our platform.
But you do license your IP, so you purchase IP.
We
How does it work?
What is
license IP, and we're storytellers. I have deep roots in Hollywood, and we have a lot of former studio execs working with us, and great storytellers, and we always start with the story and the concept. And
You're also a problem solver, it sounds
yes,
like.
right.
What is IP, by the way, if you don't mind?
Intellectual property?
It means like Star Wars.
Star Wars, and
Yeah.
everybody's licensing Star Wars, it seems right now. It's showing up everywhere. But yeah, you want to bundle as many of those rights as you can together in case one's a big hit and you want to then make it a VR experience and then try it as an AR experience, and you have another client that wants it, for some mobile device. So, those IP licenses are great to get, and get them now, because once all that hardware comes out, they're going to be really expensive.
And
Another
another
question?
thing on that real quickly is we also have we're building a library of experiences. So we do have some clients that, we did hologram karaoke with Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20, if you're not familiar. And we've had people request it, and he'll license that experience out. And then, we've built pre-existing gaming experiences too, like shooting a hologram basketball. And because sometimes people just want to come and use it, but they don't have, they're not launching a movie or they're not launching a product. So they just want something unique, engaging, and fun that's kind of to attract people to what they're doing.
The Getty of AR stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's what you're trying to do,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
I
Well,
don't know
we're-
if you can speak to that, but you're acquiring a lot of IP.
Well,
And
we are building a platform.
Yeah.
Which is a technology that can be used for multiple games. The more games we make, the more likely it is that one's going to be a hit. So, we're out there trying to find the Flintstones or Mickey Mouse or whatever it's going to be. It's not Star Wars. And maybe we'll make a whole bunch of games. That's the plan. That's our very secret plan.
But you have financing too, so that's good to
All
know for
right.
anybody.
All right. Very secret plan. Thank you, Lynn.
There's money in the room.
Well, what's your question, sir? Very patient. Thank you so much.
Ryan, as of now, what is the elevator pitch for your practice? What do you deliver? What's your deliverable? And are the opportunities you're seeing mostly inside your clients or outward facing towards customers?
So, Ryan, what is it that you do? Why should we hire you?
So it really spans the spectrum of everything, from the strategy of how so a lot of what it is right now is businesses want to understand how they can best leverage these new technologies, because like you mentioned before, it's getting to the point where we no longer have to explain what augmented versus virtual versus mixed reality is. Now the question is, how does this impact my business, and how can I use this moving forward? So a good portion of what we do is around the strategy of it, moving through to pilots and use cases, road mapping out what kind of technological architecture are you going to need to have this. If you're using this across an enterprise, you already have training and things that exist already. You already have a lot of systems in place. How is this going to sit on top of all of that and not just be isolated? So it really spans through the entire thing, as well as content generation.
So do you do budgeting as well, or just the concept?
Do you do budgeting or just the concept?
I guess so when you say budgeting, you mean going...
If you propose an AR application,
Mm-hmm.
Do you research services that can help you deliver that, which would then you'd have to do some sort of price estimate on what
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it costs?
Yes.
Let's talk about case studies. Does anybody in the room have a business that's thinking about AR, either new or maybe you're an expert, and you just want to brainstorm, like, how can I make this like the next big giant thing? Sir, do you want to come on up and do the microphone?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, come on up.
Just don't throw your plate.
You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Sure, if that's live. Try to keep it short. What's your business and what's your
Okay,
what's your
we're-
big case question?
Okay, case question. How about, well, we are integrating augmented reality, object recognition, 3D reconstruction, and artificial intelligence. So with these new phones here, this has got a volumetric camera in it. As a parent, I can walk into my kid's room and scan their room,
Back to the mic.
capture that.
Back to the mic now.
I can scan your child's room, capture where the seats are, where the walls and the floors and doors and windows are, and we will place a cartoon character into the room with artificial intelligence. It comes alive using
Got it.
object
So you
recognition. Now,
make a toy application that puts creatures into a child's room, and
And
what's
that
your
creature-
business case question for us?
well, the creature comes alive and can recognize toys in the room. It'll say, "I see the Barbie doll over there. I see the Hot Wheels set over here. Let's go."
You think
play."
it's going to recognize toys in the room, huh? Does anybody else think that's possible?
I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, but I
Right,
mean like
but-
today.
Don't I mean, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with the right integrations and
Oh, if the Hot Wheels has the bumper sticker that has a
Yeah.
barcode on it, okay, great.
no. I meant the right like team building. Sorry, like the
Oh,
right.
all right.
It could probably be. Sounds like you're building it right now.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Was there a question, or was that just an announcement?
No, that was I want to find out what they think about it.
All right. Well, do you think being able to spot toys is
Anybody doing it?
technically feasible? And if it were to be feasible, how would you monetize that?
We do more. It's not to consumer, so more on the B2C. So just for the affordability of what we're currently doing in the content. So like us personally, we're not going, the closest that we're going into the house is our takeaway, that you take on your phone. So I'm not sure if you're working with any clients or.
Well, in our space, we don't want to scare anybody with anything. It's all about making them blissful and trying to, de-stress. But I've seen a little bit of that with one company, and I know that they're working on it as well. But I don't know how many toys they can identify.
I'll have
Sure.
a go. I think any of us who are parents have had the experience of buying a toy for a child who likes it for about an hour and then gets bored of it. I think augmented reality could help to enable these toys to have more stuff going on, right? Every month there could be a new companion for the Barbie doll or a new monster that sits on the toy thing. But to make it work, I think that you'd have to have some kind of deal with Mattel to scan in all those. It's not going to work on every toy in the world. It has to work on your partner's toys. So you'll need that relationship.
Recognize all the merchandise in a theme park.
I definitely want to see it if it works.
I've seen it on.
You've
I've
got a
seen it on
question. I like your energy.
I am saying to you though, as a mother, do not scan your child's room. There's hackability and you have first responsibility to your child's.
She doesn't like cameras in the child's room.
Everybody remember the Barbie doll?
Unfortunately, we have the Amazon Alexa. They're already thinking about cameras as well as audio. It's a bit creepy, isn't it? But
Okay, we're not scanning the room, we're just scanning where the chairs are.
let's just put it under the rug and go on to the next question. Does anyone else have business? Oh, you with a hat. I like your hat.
This is a new question. So, with Google's announcement of integration into Maps and Cloud AR becoming a thing, what's the kind of time span you're seeing before somebody like Staples Center owns their immersive, viewpoint through the devices so that they kind of own that IP, that location, and you can't put any more kind of mixed reality experiences into that physical space.
Did anybody understand that question? I did
So
not.
is that saying like if I go to the Staples Center and I have my my phone out or I have a headset on for whatever reason and I'm looking around who owns the IP, like the air essentially, like
Yeah,
if I look up whose ad space is that or something
Yeah,
around
like,
those lines.
because obviously spaces will be owned
Mhm.
for AR. What's the time span? Because this is still very like new, like LVD.
I don't think Staples can stop you from putting dinosaurs or whatever in their store.
Yeah, I'm interested.
I think Disneyland's already blocking.
Mm-hmm.
A question, comment?
Interested.
Comment, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're gonna be dealing with this whole issue of virtual spaces and who owns it, and graffiti, et cetera. Today, somebody could go to the New York Museum of Modern Art in the Jackson Pollock section, wing, and basically create an AR experience and hand it out to friends and a budding artist, and basically have all of those paintings of Jackson Pollock as a target for their own paintings. So you can have a private art exhibit in the Jackson Pollock.
Yeah, or you could
Nobody's stopping.
or you could animate all of them.
And you
which
can
would be
animate
cool.
them as well. And then
Please.
It becomes yeah, exactly.
And I think another interesting that's actually going on in stadiums now is stadiums have worked with technology companies, right? A lot of AR mobile devices and created experiences with these specific companies. So it's going to be very interesting. Yes, if that space is owned, or now maybe that might be a sponsorship, or I think it's going to come down, I think, how do you monetize on that? Also, the biggest thing right now is the biggest thing I think for stadiums, or just from conversations I've had with people in that space, is engaging that fan. So I think if it makes sense, if it makes that fan's experience to go buy another beer, or to go, to come back to a game, or to share it, or I think it's going to come down for them because it's very important. That fan is who's celebrating the team and buying those tickets and leaving the stadium and buying the retail space. So it will be interesting to see, because I know a lot of stadiums have invested a lot of money in this new technology that's location. Like it's Clippers, if you're on court side, you have a fully personal experience through your phone that like no one else in the stadium has. And I was just like, oh, this is a different game I'm at. And it's like that has been built. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that's developed in the new stadiums that are already big. I know the stadium in Sacramento Kings just built this like fully innovative, immersive experience that they invested a ton of money or have partners that have. And so I think it's going to be integrating that or finding ways, or again, making a sponsorship, because a lot of these new stadiums, which I find fascinating, is when they're building these new stadiums, they build sections specifically for sponsors to buy.
But
And
can a
there's-
stadium block you from just putting up your dinosaurs or whatever?
And
it
I
seems
think
like
that's the conversation, because it's also
And retarget you.
but also it's interesting to see the existing tech that they have in there. So I think that's something that's going to come up, and will be interesting to have that conversation. But I think for the stadium's purpose, they really want whatever's the best enhancement and experience for the fan. I think is probably going to be their goal, but also monetization as well.
I think it's like a freedom of expression thing. If I wanted to go to a restaurant that I love and then write on the wall using augmented reality, I love this restaurant, or I hate this restaurant, or boogers, or whatever, can the restaurant really stop me from doing that? It's not real. I would guess they probably can't, right?
I think he knows.
I'm going to comment on that one. So,
People who are brave and came up to the front got called on first.
so right now in network technology, you have rogue access point detection. You can go through to detect if someone else is operating in the Wi-Fi space, and you can lock them out and lock them down, so they can't operate. Same thing's going to happen eventually. Right now, it's kind of the wild, wild west because the rules don't exist yet because we haven't been challenged yet.
But I have AT&T data on this,
You can have
though.
whatever you want. Right now, until someone gets challenge monetized, right? Until they challenge their pocketbooks, and it says this is costing me money. Someone walking through a dinosaurs in the Staples Center, that's costing money. There'll be a need at that point in time to block them. Technologies will happen, laws will change.
What was the question? Comment back here?
Comment, looking into the difference between public and private property, and Candy Lab, which is an AR company, which actually had a lawsuit just recently about those issues and an outcome legally.
Yeah, but that was for a public
Oh, that's
space and the city trying to block them.
But
Basically, it's unresolved
The American
law.
Bar Association, the IP attorneys are all over this already. I can think of half a dozen that are already ready, locked, litigated.
The
Somebody who's on microphone, do you want to talk about Candy Lab? I'm not familiar with this myself.
Not familiar.
Okay. Let's discuss another business use case. Is anyone here starting an AR-related business that wants to talk about optimizing it? The most interesting man in the world. What's your comment or question?
Not about to talk about it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, so as far as optimization goes, I think one of the things that's interesting, since we're talking about movies and things like that, is assets that are made for movies like that high of a fidelity. You're not going to want to use those same assets in an AR environment, especially if it's untethered or things like that. It's just not. It's going to take up way too much power. So, first of all, getting permission to use the IP, and then going through the licensing costs, and then a huge part of this is going to be optimizing those models to work in smaller AR activations. So for example, it's a perfect example of something, if you have a 3D model of a superhero, you're not going to want to put that model and all of the polygons that are in that model into a hologram on a phone, because the phone's not going to be able to handle it. So how do you optimize that, which is a huge time constraint. And we're starting to get Google I think they have an open source tool now called Seurat that they're using to help combat this this is a mobile VR perspective, unfortunately for the sake of this, I know it's AR, but really focusing on how you can get that optimization quickest, because they want folks to adopt this tool, and that's one of the big barriers at this point in time, I think. I don't know if you guys have any.
Yeah, no, content, I think we've built, we've spent many years working on the specifications. So later this summer, we'll be able to open up that platform, and you can send us your 3D model with, FBX textures, and then we can drop it into our Product Explorer. And with that Product Explorer comes the ability to turn it around, pick colors, and as we build that library out, you'll be able to do more stuff with that. And so I think it's great to be, but you're right, because we've spent a lot of time the optimization of this content, because they're large files, and then how we shoot, you're dealing with a frame, and you're dealing with a display, and you want to create it, make it as realistic possible. So there's what I call our hologram best practices to make it as realistic possible, where there's certain areas you don't want content flying in from or flying out from. And so what we've done is we've built this library so people can pop it in, not have to worry about those, and it could be the best content, but it's their content too. And I think that's what, we spend a lot of time making that, where we have a car configure. If you send me your 3D model with the textures, we can pop it in, and there you go. You can, have that sent out next week to use. And so it's that content piece, the more we get of it, is really exciting, I think. And then to be able to maybe, transfer it over to some of the stuff you're doing, or using it on different displays as well. So it becomes less gimmicky and more of like applications.
Here's a question. Let's go back to basics. For those in the room who may not have an intuition for this, how is AR better or different than VR, online, the web, just having a sculpture or an actual car in the stadium? What are the pros and cons of AR? What does AR let you do? Microphone people first, please.
Go ahead. Well, AR lets you walk around in your own space and see VR basically on top of it. And we're now working on technology where everyone's seeing the same thing and the same story that we're walking through. And like you said, there's a little bit of a problem with GPS-based experiences, but I think we're a year or two away from making just mind-blowing stuff happen.
I think it's also adaptability. Like, all of you have a phone in your pocket, maybe two, right? And that's already that device that you could use to experience it. And you're not having to take away from your environment and go in a corner and put something here where your friend next to you won't experience it. But it's having the accessibility to devices, or being in that group environment where it's, everyone's experiencing it together, as opposed to, separating it apart. I don't think it's also the use case. So a lot of people come to us, I'm like, you know what, VR would be a better use case. I don't like sending clients away, but it's asking, like, VR, if you want someone to enter into an area and really feel like they're walking through the jungle and bats are coming at you and you're like, swat them out of your face, virtual reality is probably the better experience, you know, and if you want them to, if you're in a mall, a movie theater, a sports stadium, an event, a conference like this, and want other people to experience it, and you're feeling like you're a part of it, and other people are there too, augmented reality. So I think it's like defining going back to what's the goal of using either, and making sure the reason you use VR over AR, or maybe it's a combination of the two. We've worked actually with clients who they were launching a VR movie, and they wanted to attract people to come see the movie at South by Southwest. So they took one of our displays and pushed some of the content out to get people to come to the line. And that was a great use case of VR was great for in the theater to do that, and then our display was great to get people to come into the theater.
With my experience, when you're wearing a VR headset, you really can't move around that much. You might be able to swivel in your chair or walk around in a defined space. I've seen people fall over with a VR headset on. As long as they're okay, it's kind of hilarious. With augmented reality, especially if it's on a phone, but even maybe with a headset, you can engage other people. And if you've been through a team building exercise, you know how easy it is for a dumb little game to turn strangers into friends. So if I'm walking through a public park, which I might be more comfortable with a phone than with a headset walking through a public park, I could potentially meet other people who are sharing the experience. Or hand my phone to someone in the same way that I might say, would you mind taking a photo of me? And I might say, would you mind checking my scavenger hunt? And then they take the phone, you've just made a new friend. So I think the augmented reality has that possibility. Plus, as I was saying at the beginning, this is kind of a segue towards wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. Because augmented reality takes place in the real world, it gets your heart pumping, it gets your blood chemistry up, it sort of automatically elevates your mood. So that's a sensational type of experience, which of course we've had all since, you know, baseball and the cave and stick and the cave person days, but now it's computer adjudicated, which means it's easier to set up. I don't have to build a haunted house, hiring actors and carpenters. I just put it in the app, and look, I'm walking around. I'm in a haunted house. Pretty awesome. Those of you who still want to do the paper airplane, the room has about doubled since we began an hour ago. Under your seats, you'll find some paper. Go ahead and fold the paper airplane. I'm going to allow the panel to say anything while I put on these King Kong gloves, and we're going to do it again as our closer. So we have about 5 minutes, panel. Go.
Well, you're talking about being very immersed in AR, and I love AR, but with VR, there's something that happens in a great VR experience that if it can be so blissful that it actually fills every cell in my body, and I haven't gotten that from AR yet. I did like Pokemon Go a lot, but
well, for the record, I did fall VR skiing. No joke. But I have not tried it since. But for the record, I think what I would, like, for anyone interested or like, and I'm sure you all are well knowledge in the topic, is going back and just reiterating those goals of why you're using the technology and being sure to make that applicable to the content that you're creating.
Last question, last comment, Ryan?
So just to reiterate there, I think that's the most important thing. I've seen great experiences in both AR, VR, and MR, and I think it all depends on what you're trying to do, the point you're trying to get across, and the job you're trying to do. So,
for those of you who missed it in the film King Kong, this giant gorilla climbs the Empire State Building in New York City and fights off some airplanes that are attacking. Now, I could view that on a website. I could see a video. I could play a VR game. I could play an online community game, but there's just something about doing it in the real world that's pretty awesome, and that's why we like AR. Okay, airplanes, launch! And thank you for coming. Standing ovation, please.
That was amazing.
Brian Faber and Natasha French and Lynn Rosenthal, thank you for being our panel.
thanks, Donnie.
Oh my god. Yeah, we should, I'll give you my card. Just stay in touch.
I know we are.
We're doing some new content for you guys as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to start handing out.